Horror fans are just like hungry bulldogs that are never satisfied with a single bite. I mean, if there is a horror movie that really keeps us up at night, we want more and more of it. We want a prequel, a sequel, an origin story, and whatnot. We want to know everything about that world until it successfully scratches our itch. The recently released horror hit, Backrooms, has already made history by becoming A24's biggest opening weekend ever, with around $81.4 million in North America and $118 million worldwide during its debut. That is even crazier when you remember that the director Kane Parsons is only 20 years old and first became famous through his viral YouTube Backrooms videos.
Hello?
So, very naturally, right after its massive opening at the box office, we are hearing buzz around possible sequels. Kane Parsons has hinted that the story is not finished, but the updates have also become messy because rumours are now mixing with confirmed information. So, before we dig deep into sequel possibilities, we need to know the entire journey of the film and why it has become such an obvious candidate for a follow-up. So without further ado, let's get started. Where Backrooms 2 stands right now. So, from all the latest updates available as of June 2026, I would ask you to hold your horses. Even though a sequel feels almost inevitable after a breakout like this, there's no official confirmation yet. The sequel conversation mainly comes from Kane Parsons hinting that the story is not completed and that there is still more to explore inside this universe. But that is not the same thing as A24 officially announcing Backrooms 2. The more interesting thing is that Kane does not seem to view Backrooms as a traditional horror franchise with a clean beginning, middle and end. The nature of the concept is strange, fragmented and endless. That means a future installment could be a sequel, a side story, an anthology, or something even more experimental. If there was a sequel, I do not think there would be just one way to approach it. The Backrooms has the kind of concept that can continue like VHS or Paranormal Activity, but with a more surreal and psychological edge. However, it is too early to say anything definitive. Given the success story of this film, another Backrooms project would surely make sense as a marketing strategy for A24. But the real question is whether Kane Parsons wants to immediately go back into the same maze, or whether he wants to build his career through other original ideas first. Also, the Backrooms is not a newly introduced lore for horror fans like you and me. The concept began as internet horror and creepypasta before Kane turned it into something cinematic. If you are a Gen Z and spent a fair amount of time on the internet during school life, there is a good chance you already know the basics of the Backrooms. So why are we still desperately looking forward to a sequel? Why would a sequel or anthology even be an important decision for this movie? Well, to answer that, I must quickly revisit the entire journey behind Kane Parsons' vision of the Backrooms, which was far from being a Hollywood movie in its infancy. How a 16-year-old's YouTube video started all of this. I still cannot believe that before this blockbuster movie made Backrooms globally recognizable, it was all just a random idea on the internet in 2019. It was creepypasta lore about an endless maze that looked like ordinary hallways, empty yellow rooms, damp carpets and flickering lights. But this creepy idea of liminal space intrigued Kane Parsons like a thunderbolt. So he basically built an entire world around this lore, and in January 2022, a 16-year-old Kane, known online as Kane Pixels, uploaded a short found footage horror film called The Backrooms Found Footage. Back then, The Backrooms was already a terrifying internet idea, but Kane made it feel real. He used found footage filmmaking, digital effects, and environmental dread to make the horror feel viscerally believable on screen. The slow building anticipation of finding something horrifying became Kane's main playground while creating these videos. He also added many new layers to the mythology, including async, researchers, tests, institutional secrecy, alternate dimension theories, and strange experiments. These details gave the Backrooms a cinematic quality. Maybe, somewhere in the back of his mind, Kane always wanted to take it from YouTube to Hollywood one day. And then something happened that changed his life forever. The videos exploded online, built a massive fan base, and eventually attracted Hollywood attention. How James Wan found Kane Parsons on YouTube. So, this particular beat feels almost too good to be true. Among the millions of people who watched Kane Parsons' Backrooms videos on YouTube, one of the people who became involved in the feature film version was James Wan. He was impressed by the overall attempt of a young YouTuber working so hard to make his vision come alive on a level that felt far beyond a simple internet short. Wan and the producers could have easily taken the idea and handed it to a more established director, but instead, the project kept Kane Parsons at the center. That matters a lot. The young creator, who helped make the Backrooms feel cinematic, was allowed to direct the actual movie based on that vision. One by one, other major players joined the team. James Wan's Atomic Monster became involved, along with 21 Laps, the company associated with Stranger Things, and Churnin Entertainment, which helped finance the film. Eventually, A24 became the distributor, but even after all this, King was not pushed aside. He remained the main director of the film, and as we now know, the rest is history. building an infinite maze, the production and set design story, then how can I not talk about the coolest thing in this entire production, and that is the design of the Backrooms set itself. Kane Parsons had already built so much of this universe digitally using tools like Blender and visual effects, but for the feature film, the team did not simply rely on a fully digital environment, they built a massive physical version of the Backrooms. The art department translated Kane's digital environment into a 30,000 square foot maze of hallways, rooms, dead ends, and unsettling corners. That is a huge deal because it means the actors were not just pretending to be lost inside green screen emptiness, they were actually walking through a real, disorienting environment designed to feel endless. This is where Backrooms stands out as one of the most unique horror concepts of the moment. The space itself becomes the monster. The hallways are not just a location, they are a psychological trap. So even if a future film series happens, Backrooms could become a genre of its own, built around liminal dread, impossible architecture, and the fear of being trapped somewhere that should not exist. The cast, the characters, and what the film is actually about. Well, I think the character design of this story is just as gripping as the set design, and the performances are a big reason why people are talking about the movie. We have two central figures, but the film gives major attention to Chiwetel Ejiofor's character Clark, a struggling furniture store owner who becomes connected to the impossible dimension beneath or beyond ordinary reality. On the other hand, we have Dr. Mary Klein, a therapist played by Renate Reigns. The film's premise follows a therapist who ventures into an otherworldly dimension after her patient disappears. That is a strong setup, because Backrooms is not just about a physical space that invokes horror, it also begins in the mind. The Backrooms becomes terrifying because it feels like a place where memory, anxiety, trauma, and reality distortion all collapse into each other. Both Renate Reigns and Chiwetel Ejiofor give the movie a human anchor. If one character is trapped in denial, fear, or obsession, the other is constantly trying to understand what's happened and why. That makes them ideal victims of the Backrooms because this universe does not just swallow bodies, it swallows certainty. As for future sequels, the ending gives the franchise room to continue, but the safest thing to say is that we should not assume exact character returns until A24 or the filmmakers confirm them. A future movie could bring back survivors, follow new victims, or explore async and the wider mythology in a completely different way. The opening weekend changed everything. Now this particular portion of the story is actually the main reason why A24 or the other producers may think seriously about turning Backrooms into a full-blown horror franchise. And that is the numbers, baby. The one and only thing that runs the business of Hollywood, no matter how much talent there is. Backrooms opened to around $81.4 million in North America and around $118 million worldwide in its first weekend. That made it A24's biggest opening weekend ever and one of the biggest horror stories of 2026 so far. Can you imagine? A 20-year-old YouTuber who started with internet horror shorts ended up directing a movie that smashed expectations at the box office. The scale of this success is not a joke. It is something worth studying if you love talking about Hollywood and the box office. So why would there not be a sequel or a larger franchise made of Backroom stories? The commercial logic is absolutely there, the audience interest is there, the mythology is there, and the first film has given A24 a massive theatrical win. But after all, the man behind this success story is Kane Parsons. So what has he been thinking about sequels? His recent comments make the situation more interesting. Kane Parsons' own words, what he has said about a sequel. According to Kane Parsons, the Backroom story should not necessarily be treated like a traditional horror movie series with a neat beginning and ending point. The success of this film has obviously increased the chances of future installments, but the idea itself was never built to feel limited. It is an endless place. It is internet folklore. It is a maze that can contain almost anything. That means Kane could think beyond the usual sequel route. It could be an anthology. It could be a direct continuation. It could be a single new story. It could be many things. All I am saying is that there is no end to the possibilities because the concept itself allows that. While Kane has indicated that he is not done with Backrooms, he's not announced a clean, officially greenlit sequel. So, if you see online rumors claiming that Backrooms 2 is already locked, already casting, or already shooting, take them with caution. As of now, the strongest confirmed position is that the story may continue, but the official next step has not been announced. Kane has also expressed interest in original ideas and in building his career as a filmmaker beyond a single property, and honestly, as a newcomer director that is natural. He may want to prove that he can make more than one kind of movie, so maybe one day he will return to the sequels, but for now, the safest way to describe the situation is this. Backrooms 2 feels likely, but it is not officially confirmed. So yes, I would like to remain pretty optimistic about the possibility of Backrooms sequels, but a franchise based on the Backrooms can only survive if it is executed beyond the limits of traditional horror tropes. The concept cannot just become another monster chases people in hallways series. It has to remain strange, psychological, and deeply uncomfortable, and it seems like Kane Parsons would love to break those tropes in his own way. So I am hoping for the best for his upcoming projects, while also being ready to grab my popcorn bucket and get lost again in the creepy hallways of Backrooms. On that note, this video is over. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Until then, goodbye and see you in the next one.